Start whenever you feel. There we go. All right. Hello. Good morning. Good afternoon. Good evening. Mindset to Mike back at you. Episode 15. Jimmy over here, Akron, Ohio.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the show. It's Drew over here, out here in the hot Phoenix area, still getting the 100-degree temps every day.
Woo! It's like Hotlanta almost, but
Stay
not.
in the heat. Stay in
You
the
know?
heat, bro.
You're like Drew Main Dupree from Hotlanta, but you're in hot Phoenix. You see what I did?
Yeah.
Anyway, welcome back, everybody. Episode 15. Glad to be back in your eardrums with some solid content for your brains. Hope everything's been good for everybody out there, man. Things have been cool over here. Drew, what do you got going on, man?
Just grinding away, man. Just trying to keep the mindset train rolling, learning new stuff every day, implementing new things every day, trying to grow that brain.
Hell yeah, man. I like it. What is there anything that jumps out at you that you implemented in the last week that you want to touch on?
Well, a lot of my focus has been on the challenge your boy stuff. So
yeah, all right, we'll get to that in a minute. I would tell you that along with everything we've been doing, I got my fucking wisdom teeth out, bro.
Ooh,
the top boys.
Oh man, that's brutal.
Yeah, so that was, I took a neat approach to that though, because I'm always trying to tie in the shit we talk about, right? So, my getting these teeth pulled was super easy comparatively to people who have to do the whole surgery, get put to sleep, all that. Wasn't the case for me. Mine were already poked through, like weren't giving me any trouble. And they were like facing out, which is like the easiest scenario ever for your wisdom teeth. So essentially it was just like pulling a regular tooth. But when I went in there, how being in the dentist chair sucks, dude. You get nervous. I get like gaggy. Yeah, I get gaggy too. Like
thing out my mouth, bro.
Yeah, I don't like that, man. That's how like manly of a just dude I am. I don't like anything going towards my mouth that I'm not controlling. So
sometimes I don't even brush my teeth, dude.
That's right. That's right. You can't trust it. You can't trust your arms. I know. But anyway, I don't like that whole thing, man. So I was in there, and everybody obviously was painting this real grim picture of getting your wisdom teeth out for me. Oh, you're gonna be down for days. You're gonna get dry socket. Oh, it hurts so bad. Blah blah blah. So going into it, I'm like, man, this is gonna suck. And even day of, I'm like, man, I might as well just reschedule this. Like they don't hurt. I might as well just So anyway, my brain telling me to get out of it. I'm like, absolutely not. Override mode. Let's just do it. Get it done. People do this every day. Not a big deal. And then when I was in the chair, she was putting this like numbing compound, like rubbing it on the roof of my mouth, like a little like a jelly kind of gel kind of compound. And when she was doing it, she's like, he's going to give you a numbing shot in the roof of your mouth. And but before he does that, to ease the pain, we use this numbing compound, but it's very, very, very strong. So do not swallow it. So she rubbed it on there, and then she put gauze against the roof of my mouth while it set in. She's like, don't swallow any of it. I'm like, okay, I'll try. And so as it started working, it touched my tongue. My tongue went numb.
Oh no.
And but she told me, she's like, people. She's like, well, if people swallow any and it gets on their tongue and stuff, it kind of messes with your brain. It makes you think you can't breathe, but you can. She's like, it's just you're just freaking out because it feels like you can't breathe, but you can breathe. So I'm like, yeah, I'm like, that's a little fucking weird. So and then she left the room. So I was kind of freaking out, but I started my Wim Hof breathing, boy. I'm in there. Well, not quite like that, but you get the point. And in through my nose, out through my mouth, man, regulating that heart, my heart beating off fast, slowed my heart down manually. And it worked, dude. It was pretty cool. Calmed myself down, chilled, relaxed, just looked at the ceiling. I didn't pull my phone out and start running through my phone. And, I just looked at the ceiling, calmed myself. and got it done. And it was easy as fuck, for real. It was like I didn't feel a single thing. I'm a little sore still, but it's just like sore. I'm not even taking pain meds anymore. It's not like pain.
Yeah. I had to get one of mine taken out. I think it was earlier this year, like early on. I was actually in Texas, and dude, my bottom right was like killing me. Like it was so swollen and inflamed. Like every time I couldn't even eat or anything. It was just causing so much irritation. I'm like, oh my gosh. I was on a work trip, and so I was working like a contractor day at one of our distribution. I was like, I can't do this. Like I booked a flight home that afternoon.
Damn.
The elevation, like when you're on a plane too, adding to that, then I couldn't get in till the next morning. But yeah, I just went the route. I was like, I went in there. He's like, well, we could do all this, and I haven't been in the dentist in forever, which was kind of embarrassing. But he's like,
yuck mouth.
Yeah, like everything's like pretty decent. Like I don't really have any cavities or anything, but there's always some work to do probably for improvements. But he's like, well, we can have you come back and we can put you under and get rid of all of them. I was like, no, dude, like grab that pliers right now and just get in there and it
was the wisdom boy.
Yeah, that one I had pulled.
Okay. Was it poked through already?
Yeah, it was. All of mine are, and I've just never had any issue. But that one particularly, for whatever reason, must have been putting pressure on some of the other teeth and on my gums and stuff. And they just brought the needle out, numbed it, and then 10 minutes later, he's dude, the amount of pressure that you feel when he's like in there.
Oh yeah,
I was gonna snap my jaw off, dude.
The lower,
like I've heard down,
yeah, I've heard the lower one is worse than the top because the top it's like wedged in your face, so it's easier to use your other teeth as like a fulcrum, but in the bottom, yeah, they'll straight break your jaw, dude.
Yeah, so I denied like pain meds. I just went with like ibuprofen and stuff, but it's not that bad, It just
it's not bad.
Good to go.
Yeah, he told me take Tylenol and Motrin or whatever, and actually the same dosage that they had Lucy taking after she had the baby. So she's like, man, what? Like, I'm like, I just birthed a tooth, dude. A couple of these suckers right out of my mouth, of course. But I only ended up taking it one time. I'm not really into pain medication and stuff like that. So, and it don't hurt that bad. Anyway. So I'm a couple teeth shy, but contrary to popular belief, I lost 2 wisdom teeth. I am smarter than I was when I went in.
Facts.
And I asked so many questions while I'm in there. I feel I maybe could open a little office doing some dentistry.
There you go.
I don't know if people would trust me in there, but I can. Seems pretty easy, man. Just get in there, fuck around, pull it out. See you later.
Yeah.
So I'm eating, bullshit, but this all that said, I've been out of any kind of exercise game for 2 full days now, and I even asked him, I'm like, I'm doing this little challenge with my boy, and I'm working on some handstands, and he's like, don't do handstands for a couple days. I'm like, well, you don't understand. I can't really do them. I'm just trying to do them. He's like, okay, just don't get upside down. Because they don't want you to like jar your blood clot loose. Right. And then the blood clot falls out and you got dry socket.
Yeah.
So anyway, so I've been out for 2 days of anything. But that leads us into #ChallengeABoy. So we launched this platform. We talked about it on here on the last episode, and then we started doing it, man. Drew challenged me to do a handstand, and if you haven't seen the video yet, go on to our YouTube page, Mindset to Mike, or our Instagram or our Facebook. You can see it any of those places, and you can see the videos of Drew trying to dunk a basketball and me working on handstands. So we posted some clips of us day one, getting a baseline of, what we can do and how much work it's going to take to hit our 30-day goals. Pretty entertaining videos. Drew out there in the park looking like a young, young Wesley Snipes going for not Wesley Snipes. What's his name? What's his name? The other dude. Billy Ho. I can't think of his name.
The white man can't jump.
Yeah, man, out there pumping his sneaks up and everything, and he couldn't quite get up there. But so anyway, quick update on that. On my end, handstand. So what I'm working on, Drew, is I've been watching some videos online. There's some people are actually selling learn to do a handstand in 30 days.
Yeah.
And for like $100 or $200. It was $199. I mean, you can kiss my ass. But anyway, so what I've been working on so far is stretching my wrists, right? So stretching them in all different angles. You kind of get on your knees and in like a prayer position, I guess you would call it, and put some weight on your wrists, and then you put your hands in all different angles and put weight on them to stretch your wrists out. Because that's something you don't ever think about stretching is your wrist, but there's muscles and tendons there, man. So you got to stretch them like anything else. So I've been working on stretching those, and then the wall walks is the next step. I just started those the day before the wisdom teeth. So, and I was actually doing it on a chair first. So you kind of like a push-up position on a chair, but you go higher and higher. So off like the back of the dining room chair, that's maybe 4 feet, 5 feet off the ground. Put your feet up on top of that and lean into your wrists, and just to kind of get the feeling of being upside down. And then you go a little bit further and a little bit further every day until eventually I'm out here just running around the neighborhood on my hands like I don't even need feet.
What are feet?
Serving people, serving people sushi from my toes.
Roll up.
So that's where I'm at, man. That's where I'm at on Challenge Your Boy. There's going to be some more videos coming. Tomorrow, I get back into actually doing it. So I'm going to record some videos of where I'm at, post that on the YouTubes and the Facebooks and the Instagrams and the IGTVs, and stay tuned, man. What about you, young Billy Ho? How you doing, man?
Yeah, so I posted another video on my end as far as what I've gathered, and kind of like I put together like a program design for what my plan is going forward, and kind of laid it out to the progress that I need to make, by per day, per week, in order to achieve being able to get up high enough to dunk. It's pretty tall order, man. I don't know. It's going to be really tough, but I think, there's all kinds of content. You can Google anything, right? So just like you said, there's all kinds of courses that you could purchase that, how to jump higher. But if you dive deep enough on your own, you can find exactly what those courses are made up of, most likely.
Yep.
Find the most effective exercises and techniques in order to improve that specific area. Like my focus is the act of jumping, obviously, and then the mechanics that come along with, the portion of actual dunking the basketball. So getting vertical is number one priority. So I just have a whole list of I have a workout laid out that I break down, into fast twitch and slow twitch muscle activation. The slow twitch muscles are going to be like large muscle groups, which the workouts that correlate with that are like heavy lifting, and low reps. And I got a series of 3 exercises I'm going to do, squats, deadlifts, and like lunges, but super heavy. And then I jump into it, bro.
I get it. I see what you did there, you sneaky devil.
Some plyometric training, which is more, fast-paced, explosive movements to kind of get those fast twitch muscle fibers moving.
Gerping, if you will.
Gerping through the legs. So it's interesting. So genetics plays a significant role in your fast twitch and slow twitch muscle fibers, as it relates to your body composition. But these things can be trained and built up. Like, it may take me long. Someone is easily, adapted to fast twitch muscles. They can gain traction or growth there more easily. But at the end of the day, you can train your body to do anything you want it to do, and target those specific areas. It just may take longer time. So I'm hoping that I'm able to convert. I don't know that my fast twitch muscle fibers are the greatest, but that's been my primary focus, because that's going to be key to,
I hope they're not listening right now, man. Jesus.
And that's pretty interesting, because I've listened to a podcast a while back. I think it was Tim Ferriss. And they can actually test like your muscle fibers, like how many of each you have, I guess, that the composition. They like go into the bone and take out like a muscle sample, like a super deep. And they take out a piece of your muscle, and they can see, whether you're more prone to fast twitch or slow twitch. But
results come back, say you're bad to the bone.
You never know, man. So that's kind of where I'm at. We're coming up on week 1. So according to my goal layout, I need to have improved by about 4 inches based on my initial vertical. So I think I really went over, because that was the standing vertical, right? But when I'm actually in the act of dunking, I'm going to have momentum like running.
Yeah.
So I set a goal to double my vertical in order to get there, which I don't.
It's not going to take that.
No, it won't. It probably will knock a good 8 inches off of my target. So that's a little reassuring, knowing that I have some leeway there. But we'll see here in the next couple of days when week 1 is up, and we'll do another video and see how close I am.
Yeah, what you really, what might make it seem less daunting would be to measure it with the run up, or at least, or even off that video. Because if you can look and you're 3 inches under the rim, that you've got, you need to be 6 inches above. So that's 9 inches you're working on versus 18 from the vertical. That might help your mind, at least keep you a little more engaged. Mm-hmm. Hey, what I did want to say about this is, I think you could dunk. Okay. First and foremost, I think you can do this. But the most important thing that we're trying to get across with this, and I hope people are taking note of, and I really notice it when you talk about how you're breaking this down, is first and foremost, you're setting a goal. You're challenging somebody or yourself to do something that they're uncomfortable with and they don't think they can do, or that they've wanted to do but won't. Just do it. Get out of their comfort zone, right? So you're making that challenge to yourself. And then next, you have that goal, and then you're using all the tips and techniques that we talk about on here to break it down and make it accomplishable. You're putting it in your affirmations on your vision board, and then you're setting these smaller, achievable goals within that big goal. And I think when you explain what you're doing, it's such a good example, man. Because like you, as somebody who's arguably 5'1", is going to be like, when you say, and you can see the reactions we're getting from people when we say your challenge is to dunk. It's okay, well, he's not going to be able to dunk.
Right.
Like, okay.
It's not getting no love, man.
Yeah. And you might know that in your brain, even you're like, I probably can't dunk, but if I take that goal and I settle for, I probably can't dunk, you're never going to, you don't grow at all. You don't get any close to any goal. So if you take that, and then you break it into all these little goals like you're doing, like every day I need to do this better or grow by this much, grow my leap by this much. Then you're actually chunking away at it, and it makes it more achievable to you. It makes it in your mind something that you actually can do, rather than just saying, Nat, can't do it. I'll just go do something else. I'll just go watch fucking Teletubbies or something, So you got it broke down. So every day you have something achievable that you can go for. And how it ends is how it ends. You can do it or you can't, but you went for it and you end up better than you did.
Yeah. At the very least, there'll be significant improvement in that area, which is my vertical. And I think another thing with this too for me was I found myself like, when I work out and stuff, I try and work out regularly, but the motivation isn't always there. But knowing I have this challenge, dude, I'm like super pumped to work out and do these exercises. I know, like, especially when I see all the negative feedback from people, like that just adds more fuel. I'm like, I can't wait to I just want to train harder and right, fuckers,
hell yeah.
Thanks for the support, assholes.
Yeah. And then when this is done and we challenge each other to something else, you take the tools that you have developed about breaking something down into smaller chunks and that whole thing, and you apply it to something else, and then in your life, you can do it, whether it's about a promotion at work or, you want to get a new car or whatever that is. These same exact principles that you use and tools can apply to anything. So you're just, what we're doing is practicing the tools, and then you can apply it anywhere.
That's right. That's exactly right.
So yeah, man, I'm all fired up. The other thing with my handstand, what I was what I also was doing, I forgot to say, was trying to, I've been practicing my, it's stupid, but like my little front roll. So just like rolling
In case
over
you
my
got something
head.
out of it, yeah.
Yeah, because one of the things I was reading was it's important to be able to do that the right way so you don't hurt yourself in a handstand. And my biggest problem is it's not going to be the strength of holding myself up. My problem is the mental piece, big time. Because I was never a dude who, or a kid who, like trampoline would be out. I was not doing no flips on a trampoline. I was like straight up and down. And if people start getting too wild, start trying to popcorn you, I'm off the trampoline. I'm not playing around. If we're by the pool, I'm not on the diving board. I'm not like feet on the ground always for me. It was baseball and basketball, but feet on the ground. So my balance was always great and everything, but going upside down, was never my thing. I couldn't even like ride a wheelie on my bike. I was not that kid. So this is so foreign to me. I think that's why it looks so funny, me trying, because I can't even get the biggest piece is going to be getting my mind to the point where I can do it and I can be comfortable doing it. That's my biggest challenge, which I'm fired up because it's a constant, like anything, you're in a constant battle with your mind, taking the easy way.
That's it. It's all about growth.
So we're going to keep at these Challenger boys, and thanks to everybody for all the the feedback, whether it was good feedback or you're laughing at us or you think Drew can't dunk or whatever. Just keep it coming. And then a special shout out for sure to the people who challenged somebody else.
Yeah, that's cool to see.
That's awesome. And if you can, make sure you throw that hashtag in there, tag us. And we're going to repost. We'd like to repost that stuff. So, you got a couple that I can just off the top of my head. Tommy Ernest was somebody who challenged a couple of his buddies in the gym to do some different things. And then they got back at him and challenged him to do some morning cardio, and they're holding each other accountable. That's super cool. So we're going to repost that. Who else? There was a gentleman by the name of Matt Filing challenged his fiance or wife. I don't even know. Maybe they're married. I don't know. To learn to golf with him, which is super cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So I'm gonna follow up with them, see if they're moving that needle or if she bailed. But keep those things coming, man. Keep challenging people. Hashtag tag us. We want to post your stuff. Even more than we want to post ours. Get as many people doing this as we can. Let's grow together. Grow your brain. Grow your body.
Straight up.
So that's that, man. When we got a good topic today, Drew. You wanna dive in?
Yes. First one I had in mind was habits versus routines. So everyone kind of has an idea what habits are and routines are, but actually breaking them down to the true definitions. So a habit is something that you do like subconsciously. It's kind of impulsive, deliberate actions that are automatic. This could be something like you get up out of bed and then you do something like it's a routine. I mean, going to the bathroom is a habit in a sense, or like going right to a cup of coffee. That's a habit. It's something that you do without thought. And when it comes to like a routine, these are like typically conscious decisions that are repeated frequently. So a routine would be. So a habit would be you get off work, you go right to the gym. That's what you do all the time. The routine would be what you do at the gym. That's a good way to look at it. So the habit is actually going to the gym, but then the routine comes in. What am I going to do today? I'm going to do arms. I'm going to do back, do legs. So the more the more you can drive these positive things like routines into the habit to where it comes natural and subconsciously that you're just automatically doing it. That's when you see a lot of the value, because then the more you can turn a routine into a habit is I think the growth level there and the overall productivity of your day will improve.
You take the thought out of it, and then you can think about other stuff.
Right, and it's it's something you're just going to do automatically.
This is I think another really good example of that is, you hear stories about I think, was it Steve Jobs is a really, really good one, but other really successful people, especially in the tech world, do this. But Steve Jobs always had on that black turtleneck sweater. Like that's like the only shirt he wore. And if you look into that, him and all these other different people, people that are really, really, really successful and that, changed the course of history, really creative people, they, in the morning, a routine is picking out your outfit for the day. You wake up and you got to figure out what you're going to wear for the day. That's a routine. Well, they changed that from a routine to a habit by only wearing one thing.
Yeah.
That's all I wear. That's all that's in my closet. I don't have to think about that anymore. So now I have a habit of waking up and putting on this outfit.
Right.
You have no brain power going towards that at all because it's just that it's what you do. So you've reserved that, you didn't spend any of your brain power or your time thinking about that. You're thinking about other things. And you're saving your creativity for other things, So I think that's a really good example of habit versus routine.
Yeah, the more things you can do automatically to where you don't have to put thought and effort into, but you're benefiting from. Try and turn everything like positive into some form of a habit. Even if it's like reading or meditation, like make it a habit. And then like your routine portion could be habits lead to routines as well, so you can piggyback off a habit with good routines that are that complement each other, I guess. So the habit would be, I'm reading a book at this time no matter what. And the routine is, okay, I'm reading, but what am I going to read today, or what am I going to listen to podcast wise or something like that.
Yeah, I definitely think like you want to be in a place where your routine, in my mind, when I think about reading as a routine, the reading is like, I know I need to read before work, so I'm going to read before work. The habit of reading in the morning is you just do it. You exercise, you read, you go to work. There is no like, should I do it today? Is it going to fit today? Maybe my workout was hard. And I know in my routine, it says I'm supposed to read this morning, but today, I don't know, maybe I'm going to cut it out today and just do something else. But if it's a habit, there is no decision there. You are just reading. Yeah. You are waking up, exercise, reading. That's just what you do. You don't have to think about it. That's the way I use it, at least. I like this shit, dude.
That's good.
You brought this up, and there's something that came to mind was, I heard Jerry, there's a bunch of articles you can read about this, but I read about this a while back. Jerry Seinfeld, from obviously the show Seinfeld, comedian, right? One of the greatest that there's ever been, bunch of shows, blah, blah, blah. He talks about chains of habit and forming chains of habit, which, I love this concept. So he says that you need to buy a year calendar, the big one that hangs on the wall that shows every month and every day, all on one page. You're not turning any pages. Hangs on the wall. Buy that. You put it right in front of you in the morning or where you're going to bed. So generally, probably buy your vision board, and whatever it is that you want to do. So his example was he wanted to become the best stand-up comic ever. So he knew that within that, he needed to write comedy every single day. Mm-hmm. Not like when it struck him. He needed to just always be writing comedy every day so he could get that practice. So what you do is you have your vision, your big vision. I'm going to be the greatest ever at stand-up comedy. You have your smaller goals. I'm going to write every day. Well, creating a chain of habit, every day that you write your stand-up comedy, you take a red marker and you put a big X on that day. Then the next day, you write comedy again. You put a big red X. So you do that for a few days. You've got a chain of these red X's across your calendar. So now, literally, the only thing you have to worry about is not breaking the chain.
Right.
And that's your only job now. And when you skip a day, skipping a day when you're not doing this method, it just makes it easier to skip another day.
Right.
Then it makes it easy to skip the week. And then it's easy to skip 2 weeks, then the month and the year, then you never end up doing it. Right. So when you start seeing this chain, subconsciously, your brain likes seeing that. You like seeing that you've been
behind it.
Something. Exactly. And you've got this chain growing and growing. So now you start feeling self-conscious. It's another form of having an accountability partner in my mind, but probably even better because it's sitting right next to you. You see it every day. you don't want to cheat yourself, and you want to keep that chain going. So the next thing you know, that chain gets bigger, 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 bigger. Then you've just turned whatever that was into a habit, because now you just do, it's part of your day every day. But you use that chain of habit to make it a full-fledged habit, if that makes sense.
That makes me think, like, sometimes I have trouble making time to journal, and I know that it's something I want to do and I need to do. So just thinking out loud about this, I'm going to implement this, like, starting tomorrow morning. You know, you have your phone right next to you in your bed on the nightstand. I'm going to put my journal on top of my phone. So when instead of reaching for my phone first thing,
reach for the journal.
Yeah. So just put things in place that allow you to make building that habit easier. You know?
Yep.
If journal is the first thing I grab, then every day, then the chances of me journaling over not are way greater than they were if I just have my journal wherever, you know.
Yeah, and you know, the thought is, it's not one shot that gets us, one big shot or one big swing that gets us where we need to go. It's consistent daily action that builds those incredible outcomes. So if you're doing something consistently every day, smaller chunks, you're going to get to that big outcome way more likely. I mean, the stats are in your favor, and way quicker than if you're just, okay, well, once a week, I'm going to go at it real hard. You know, I want to bench 400 pounds once a week. I'm going to lift the shit out of some weights. No. Lift a little bit every day and build to it. And that's what's going to get your unbelievable outcome. And, you know, for me personally, I like the idea of this calendar being right by the bed, because let's say mine is journaling and I want to do it every day, which is one of mine. And I lay down at night, I lay in bed, right in front of me is that calendar, and I don't have an X on today. I forgot to journal. Am I going to just go to sleep, or am I going to be like, fuck, I better just get up and journal for 10 minutes? You know, I'm already here, and I just ruined my chain, but I can catch it before I go to sleep while I still have a chance to take some action and earn my red X, earn my chain. So I've ordered this calendar, and I'm going to start doing this also.
That's why it's super important, like, to start your day, you know, reviewing your goals, and then also at the end of the day, reviewing goals. So they're constantly, you know, in your thought process. So the more exposure you can have at the beginning and at the end of every day, whatever it is, the more likely you're going to follow through with things.
And it's easy to avoid them, dude. Like, I mean, I think we both had this issue when we got these planners that we're still using, you know, and, you know, there'd be a day for me where it's just like, you know, I write my stuff in the morning, things I want to do during the day. And then the planner goes in my book bag. It's sitting next to my desk. Next thing you know, it's 10:30 at night, and I'm like, oh shit, I didn't think about a single thing that I put in there this morning. You know, so
out of mind kind of stuff.
Exactly. And it's easy to do that. So I like you said, put it on top of your phone, put it in the way, make it a nuisance, put it where you can't get away from it without thinking about it. I actually, because I had trouble, you know, with remembering to recite my affirmations throughout the day to myself. So I made at work, my computer times out after like 10 minutes. So I'm putting my password in a billion times a day to get into my computer. So I made my password affirmations and then a number. So literally every time I log into my password, into my computer, I have to type the word affirmations, say it in my mind, and it's a trigger. Shit, I better be thinking about my affirmations. And then it makes me think of them. So you got to put it in the way, make your goals in the way, make your affirmations in the way, make checking in on this stuff. You know, whatever your day looks like, just put it in these things in a place where you can't avoid them.
Yeah. 100%.
You know, also, and I should have touched on this earlier, but I was listening to a podcast and I heard this guy talk about some other guy. I don't even remember who it was, but something he does in the morning when his alarm goes off to combat the whole snooze epidemic. His alarm goes off and he puts his phone, first of all, out of reach from bed, right? So it's out of reach from bed, and he has to roll out of bed to get to his phone. So he rolls out and he does a 2-minute plank every morning. So it's the alarm goes off. I have to get out of bed on my hands and knees, hit that alarm, and then
While you're there.
Look at the clock while you're there, 2-minute plank, and you're not gonna go right back to sleep after. You're out of breath. You might be a little sore. You're not going right back to sleep. So then you get up and you got your morning going. Yeah. So I'm gonna start doing that tomorrow morning. I like that a lot.
Yeah. If you get the body moving, it's easy to lay there and like,
yeah,
5 more minutes, man. But you'll find as soon as you get the blood flowing, that's why the cold showers are so nice too. But getting yourself up to actually doing it. But I like that idea. I kind of do something similar, but I do the kettlebell stuff.
A wise man once said, "You have to move it, move it."
I like to move it.
That's what he said. That's what it was. I think that was Van Gogh. I'm not sure. You'll have to fact check that. We'll have our fact checker look into that.
Yeah.
Anyway, what else, man? I think we've got. Let's touch on this whole motherfucking memory deal. I think you said, or learning and memory. You said you want to talk about. Yeah. I think I got something on that too.
I've been getting into a lot of kind of learning and memory techniques. We've talked about that Coursera course on learning how to learn or whatever, and I've listened to a few podcasts of a guy named Jim Quick, Kwick, I think, Kwik.
Yeah, just K, I think.
He's like well known like for helping like people like Oprah, Tony Robbins, working with them and actors and stuff on how to remember lines and recite things without having to like go to notes and stuff, just from memory. And a lot of the stuff that I've read or listened to when it comes to learning and memory, especially memories, you have to be able to attach some type of emotion to something if you want to learn it and retain it. And so that's why for me it's like so easy to, like, most people can remember songs, lyrics, right? But if you're going to read a book, like you're studying for a class or something, that doesn't come that easy. But you can listen to a song and remember the lyrics way quicker typically than you can anything else. And that's because you have some type of emotional attachment to it, or something, because it makes you feel a certain way or whatever. So you're like, okay, you can relate to that content way easier.
Oh, yeah.
There's a couple other techniques that I found pretty interesting too. One's called the Pomodoro technique, which is basically we can only focus and be productive for about 25 minutes to 30 minutes at max and on any given subject at a time. So what this technique is, basically, when you start diving into something that you're trying to learn or studying, you set a timer for 25 minutes, and then you go hard at that content and learn it, and then you take a 2 to 3 minute break in between. And you do that, you cycle that 4 times, and then after the 4th time, you take 15 to half an hour. You remove yourself. I've been doing this quite a bit in between, reading and podcast stuff. Like I'll get up and I'll just, go do some jumping jacks or do some kettlebell stuff, just get my body moving, not even think about anything really, just kind of go through the motions. And then you find that the content or whatever you're trying to learn is more relatable, and you can connect the dots. Similarly, we talked about earlier in that Coursera course, like transitioning your mind back and forth between those two modes, like the focus and the diffuse mode. So I think there's a lot of value to that. And I think everyone can find that once they're 25 minutes into something that they kind of lose interest and lose focus. So try implementing that when you're trying to do something. Another technique that I found pretty common is mnemonics, which is like associating keywords and imagery to whatever it is you're trying to learn. So like you're trying to learn a new language, the word might sound something similar in English, but not necessarily has the same meaning, but it might sound similar. And you can tell yourself like a little story and just imagine, that word being an object or whatever. Kind of another example of this would be, everyone kind of remembers the how to remember the colors of the rainbow, Roy G. Biv, right?
Roy G. Biv, baby.
So, and then what's it for music? Every boy does. What is it?
Every good boy deserves fudge.
Every good boy deserves fudge. So that tells you, like, the notes in that order.
And I don't remember shit,
I know,
especially about music, but I got that.
See, that's crazy. And I was like, damn, that's so real. Like, so the more you can assign emotion and mnemonics to be able to, everyone learns differently. So if you can apply whatever that is and give it some type of meaning to you specifically, the easier it is going to memorize and retain that. And so what happens is you have a short-term memory and a long-term memory, right? So in order to the transfer from short-term to long-term actually happens while you sleep for the most part. So that's what I found pretty interesting too. So very important when it comes to people like to cram all night, and go study for a test and get up and take tests the next morning, and they can't remember shit, So the more you can implement these techniques together, like the timer, and then association with things that have meaning and emotion to you, and then get some rest and like physical activity and sleep, you're able to produce new brain cells like every day, which helps maintain that memory and focus and transferring from short-term to long-term memory.
Yeah, that was in in that Coursera, they're talking about the same thing too, on part of it, and they talk about working memory and long-term memory, which is working being short-term, and it's what you're immediately and consciously processing. Long-term being like a storage warehouse. It's distributed all over your brain. It's things that you can recall at any time. But the main difference being your working memory or short-term memory can only hold 4 chunks of different information at a time. And a good example of that is when somebody tells you a phone number and you need to remember it until you can write it down. So you have to repeat it to yourself over and over and over again because it won't stick, because you've got more other things that are in that short term that you're trying to juggle. So then you get a phone number on top of it, it won't stick, so you have to keep repeating it. Your long-term memory is that phone number would only be stored there after you have revisited it several times over a long period of time. So you've revisited that phone number every day for a few days, then it gets stored in your long-term memory. So the key there, like you said, it takes time and practice and repetition to get things from short-term to long-term. And that extended practice over several days works a lot better than cramming. You young twerps, you're trying to cram before you will test. And then sleep, like you said, they talk about that too. I thought this was kind of cool. Your brain cells actually shrink when you sleep, and more are created. But when they shrink, think of it like unblocking the stream. So that's your brain's way of keeping itself clean and healthy. And when you learn something throughout the day, you've been practicing it all day, you go to sleep, the cells shrink, and the brain goes back over those neural patterns that you were using to memorize that or to learn that piece of information. And so it's learning it for you while you sleep if you've been practicing it and repeating it. And with your cells smaller, unblocking that stream, that neural pattern, it's easier to learn it. So then you wake up the next morning, go over it again, and it'll feel a little bit more familiar. So I just thought that was really cool, and it's funny that you brought that up. And they talked about going over what you want to learn before you sleep, not just cramming, studying before you sleep, but go over what you're trying to learn before you sleep. You're increasing your chance of your brain thinking about it and or dreaming about it while you sleep. So it's you deciding what your brain's going to do before you go to bed. And a lot of really successful people do this with problems. We talked about it, about using your creativity. So you got a problem you just cannot get the answer to. You cannot figure it out. Or maybe it's something bigger than that. You're like, man, I've been thinking about quitting my job, but I'm not sure. Well, think about it before you go to sleep. Sleep on it. That's why that's
exactly where that came from.
So you sleep on it. The next morning, your brain has thought about it for you while you slept, and it strengthened those neural patterns that it takes for you to think about that thing or that task, and then you can think a little bit more clearly the next morning, or you might even have the answer. So, really good shit, man.
Yeah, and this is kind of another thought that comes to mind is what I'm sure a lot of people can relate to. You ever just like get a specific smell or something that immediately takes you back to some type of memory, or like, like
Oh yeah.
when you're outside and you smell like fresh cut grass, it's like, damn, you remember being a kid and like running around with your friends or whatever.
Yeah.
Because it has you have an emotional attachment to that memory, and then you like there's all kinds of resources that our bodies have, in order to pick up things. So the more you can attach, emotion to it, that I think there's a lot of value in. Like remembering names is like super hard for a lot of people, and myself
Fuck,
included.
that's me. Yeah, me all
Because I
day.
find myself, when I meet someone, I'm too worried about everything else going on, like the handshake or whatever, and it's like they say the name, and I'm like, what I'm already thinking about what I'm gonna say, after that.
Yeah, I already forgot the name. By the time you sit down, I'm like, I don't even know who
Exactly.
the fuck you are
So
anymore.
I make it a point to repeat their name
Yeah.
immediately, and then if it's common name that's someone that I know, I kind of picture that person's face, like, oh, so I meet someone named Jimmy, I'm like, oh, Jimmy, I can remember that because one of my best friends is Jimmy, right? So just kind of relate things to yourself uh, as much as you can, attach some emotion to it, and you'll probably see a huge improvement on retaining information and memory.
Hell yeah. And if that doesn't work, just attach me to everybody that you meet
Just put Jimmy
in
on your
general.
back. Yeah.
That's it. Just be
Oh,
like, you meet a dude named Paul. He's like, hey, what's up? I'm Paul. And then just be like, oh, I know Jimmy. And then
Jimmy
start
knows
thinking about me.
Jimmy knows a Paul, I'm sure.
Yeah, Jimmy probably knows a Paul. So then you probably would either call him Jimmy or Paul next time you see him. I don't know. So I think that's it, man. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's pretty good. I would recommend checking that dude out, Jim Quick. He's got a pretty solid podcast, and they're like, 15, 20 minutes typically. And there's all kinds of different content. It's all memory and learning focused, neuroscience type stuff, and techs and like hacks and techniques for improving that. So
Nice. I would recommend one I listened to recently if we're recommending some ish, if Maurice Claret on Short Story Long with Drama. If you don't know the Maurice Claret story, definitely listen to him on this podcast. Actually, go watch the 30 for 30 Youngstown Boys documentary about him and Jim Tressel, but Ohio State running back that got into all kind of trouble. And like at one point, he like won every award you can won national championship in college, and was just on top of the world. And then next thing you know, he is, he's kicked out of college. He's at one point driving his car or in a high speed chase with police, and was going to get out and just have a shootout. Like, his life just unbelievable turn. And where he's at today is pretty incredible. The things he's doing for like the youth and different things, but his story is awesome. So he was on Drama's podcast, Long Story Short, or Short Story Long, and really, really good listen. If you don't know his story, pretty motivational. He talks about, just they spend a good portion talking about the internet life, and who you portray on the internet, and who what you want to look like you are, and that whole fake life thing. And then he talks about mental health and how people don't treat Drama put it really interesting. He said, if you hurt your leg, if you have some kind of trauma to your leg, you have to rehab that leg. You have to go through, like, let's say a 6-month rehab period of working on that leg to get it back to normal. But people don't think about the brain like that. You have something happen to you when you're a kid, you witness something crazy between your parents when you're a kid, and that's trauma to a muscle. So, but people don't treat it like something that you can rehab or fix or have to work at, and people are looked down upon it. So anyway, really good conversations on that one. If I was going to recommend something.
yeah,
And that's it.
That's good. Right on.
So hashtag challenge your boy. Get out there, challenge somebody to do something. Again, it don't got to be your boy. It could be anybody. Challenge somebody to get out of their comfort zone. Hold them accountable for 30 days. And then and post them. Tag us. We want to share those. We want to be part of it. And also, while you're at it, like, comment, share, please. All of our stuff on all the different platforms. If you're listening, post a picture of your phone listening, something like that. We're going to have some some giveaways and stuff coming up here soon. So more details on that to come. But appreciate everybody. And until next time, grow your brain a little bit.
That's it. Stay productive and get shit done.